all I had to do was shift in confidence. And then in the process, my authority, my credibility, my network all happened. So it was actually the other way around. And then maybe Ganga, you can talk a little more about the technical aspects on how these mindset shifts work and how performance happens.
Yeah, exactly. So that's well said, Jen. So how that happens is you leap first and then you worry later. So the biggest thing that I've gone to conferences, I've seen events, right? I've worked with a lot of people who are champions in their field and number one in their field. I've interviewed hundreds and thousands of businessmen as I work through their finances, working in a financial institution. And over they would say, I trusted, I built credibility, I had to coaching from someone, right? I took the input and made it happen.
All right, guys, welcome again to another amazing episode. Today we have Jen, Katsev, and Ganga Tawardy. They have over 7 years of experience giving exponential value to her clients. She produces phenomenal results aligned with their intentions through her value-packed performance coaching and sales program. Jen, on the other hand, is a performance coach, #1 best-selling author, serial entrepreneur. She runs a 506 Club investor network, which you should join on Facebook. It brings amazing value for those that want to invest passively. You'll learn about syndication network. And this network connects accredited and software and sophisticated investors with syndicated real estate deals. And she just, she's a very helpful person. She full of joy. I met her several months ago, and we connected over Facebook, and we talked about syndication, about how to structure things, about how to better market to specifically accredited investors, those high net worth individuals that those of us who are working towards deals are trying to accomplish. So we're going to pick her brain. We're going to pick both of their brains about their processes, how they do things, and just overall the mindset you need to get in real estate, and just overall be at 100% performance and be a high performer. So we're going to go ahead and chat. So, let's dive right into each other. How did you guys meet each other? Because you're a duo. You're a dynamic duo.
So Jen, do you want to get
started? Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Oscar, for the intro. And we met at a personal development course, of course. We were sitting next to each other. And so as you mentioned, Ganga has a history in financial services, but I didn't actually know that when we first met. She was the kind of friend that I've always wanted to have. And I didn't know it at the time because I've never met a friend like her before, who is so incredibly loyal and has no barriers and no resistance to performance and just pursuing the next thing. So that's why I was naturally very attracted to her. And Ganga is a really, in business, a really sharp person, a great observer who can, even be silent in a room, but observe what's going on in your business and tell you the one thing that you never thought of, that you would never think of yourself, and turn that into gold with the least amount of effort from the company. So that's what I saw in her and why I decided to partner up with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What attracted you to Jen?
So, first of all, Oscar and German, thank you so much for having me on the show, and Jen. What I noticed about Jen is she's just so lit up and awesome all the time. Very gracious with her friendship, gives the time, gives the effort, and it's hard to resist such a person. So as we got to know each other, we became very close, and she's always there for me and I was there for her, and it really bloomed over time. And it's this amazing person on the planet that I can always count on. So we met in the leadership program, and as we started to develop ourselves personally, professionally, I've seen her grow like this tremendous growth she's had that's just unbelievable. And what I've seen is that she created her own community commercial real estate event called Vacom. People didn't want to even get up to go mingle. They wanted to sit in their seat and listen to the whole thing. And I've been to thousands of events, and I've never seen that kind of focus in absorbing the material she was sharing. So that's just a little bit about her. So yeah.
So just to recap there, because I'm sure you know it, Jen, and we're losing Ganga a little bit. Just you saw that she was given so much value at this event, and about 200 plus people showed up. And that's the gist I got from it. Is that correct? Okay.
She gave so much value that 200 people showed up for over how many weeks? 52 weeks or more?
It ran for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So like double that. So 104 weeks. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And at this time, Jen, were you doing this event in an effort to help a real estate investor?
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit about that. When I was working for a syndicator, we were transitioning from turnkey rental homes as a business model for passive investments to providing commercial real estate syndications. So at the time, the company I worked for was mostly marketing their investment products at the real estate investor clubs and at trade shows and places where these wholesalers, fix and flippers, buy and holders would go. And when we switched to commercial syndications, it just wasn't the right audience anymore. So, because first of all, you have to educate them about syndications, and then you have to educate them about commercial real estate. And it's just, we were only capturing maybe 10% of the audiences at best. So I decided, why not create a platform that draws 100% our target client towards our products. And that's when I decided to start the Bay Area Commercial and Multifamily Investment Club, which Ganga told you is BAYCOM for short. This, being 24 years old at the time, took a big breakthrough in confidence. I did not feel, I questioned if I was the right person to do it, if I was credible, because in commercial real estate, authority figures, successful people did not look like 24-year-old Asian girls.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Ganga can talk a little more about the confidence and performance piece after that, because she observed the whole thing happen. But I had the breakthrough and I decided I don't need to be the expert. I don't need to be the one funding the whole thing. I asked my parent company to fund the event. I found my first guest speakers and just created a meetup page and, told a lot of people about it. And ever since, it just went off to a great start and continued that way.
Jen,
So real quick, go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay. No, I'm just very curious because you guys probably see that too, where people are trying to do something, but they don't have the confidence, whether it's because of age or I'm a minority, or I don't have my accent or whatever the case is, like I'm old, anything, or I don't have the money. In some cases, it's like how am I be credible if I don't have the money? But you have the idea. How did you overcome that fear or that lack of confidence to do what you're doing right now to make give that step?
So I'll talk about my experience, and then Ganga can actually get into the nuts and bolts of how that works from a purchase perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's turning a problem into a resource, right? So if my problem is I don't have money, if my problem is I don't have confidence or I don't feel good enough, what resource would I need to put in place such that this gets resolved and I can actually move forward, right? So for me, it was, I don't have the money. Well, this event takes money. So how can I be resourceful and create the money? I found a sponsor. I'm not an expert, and this event's going to need an expert to give value. So I found an expert. It's very simple when you look at it that way. Now, the confidence is probably the hardest one to turn into a formula. This takes a lot of work and a lot of training, right? I had to look at where my beliefs came from. So I believe that I needed to be credible already, have a big network already. I needed to have all of these ducks in a row in order to create this platform and create this big result, right? And ironically, in reality, it actually worked the other way around, where all I had to do was shift in confidence And then in the process, my authority, my credibility, my network all happened.
Mhm.
So it was actually the other way around. And then maybe Ganga, you can talk a little more about the technical aspects on how these mindset shifts work and how performance happens.
Yeah, exactly. So that's well said, Jen. So how that happens is you leap first and then you worry later. So the biggest thing that I've gone to conferences, I've seen events, right? I've worked with a lot of people who are champions in their field and number one in their field. I've interviewed hundreds and thousands of businessmen as I work through their finances, working in a financial institution. And over, they would say, I trusted, I built credibility. I had to coaching from someone. Right? I took the input and made it happen, right? And sometimes it's a combination of they will tell you to go jump, and when you jump, you'll see the results. But they might tell you to jump in a completely different direction than you expected, because your mind cannot think. So I think it was Einstein. I'm paraphrasing here. No solution can be created in the same mindset that the problem was created in. So you need a brand new
Mhm.
mindset to create the solution. And Jen has always been a bold leader and unstoppable and willing to take that chance, willing to put it all out there and see the results. And that's her biggest gift. And now we help other people do that. So that's, if you will, the secret, right? And also being prepared. So Jen and I, both of us are super prepared for things. And that always makes a big impact.
That's
Mhm.
amazing. So
Yeah.
let me ask you guys this. So one of the things I hear a lot from people when they talk to them, especially people who are lacking that, that mindset to take the next steps, right? To take that leap forward. A lot of times they say, I'm just gonna do stuff or take action.
Mhm.
But they don't really have the mindset to follow through with it or to think it through to actually make it happen correctly, right? Because there is a process that you need to establish with yourself to go ahead and make it, you know, in a way that you present yourself the best way, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get people to realize that it's not just throwing a dart of action, and actually there's a process, methodical process to get, from A to Z?
Yeah. So shall I answer a little
Yeah,
bit?
go
I think
ahead.
Jen can answer her
Sure.
piece also. So you have both perspectives. Is focus, right? You focus on the result you want. It's not something that you can figure out the result later. The result is always going to be right there and something that you want. And the second is,
Anybody can think of that, right? So
yeah, anybody can think of that.
yeah.
Second is commitment. Are you willing to do what it takes? And if you have that, then that's a game changer. So I bring it back to you, Jen.
Yeah, so I wanted to say two things. When you say being prepared, so when you hire us for something, which we'll talk about later, how we help real estate investors, we do everything upfront. We're not the kind of people who jump in after you hire us and spend the first 2 weeks researching, oh, what does the company need? What are your values? These are all things that we do ahead of time. We do all of our homework. For things that we've never done before, we study the crap out of role models, people who've done it, what are their strategies for doing it and being successful in it, so that we come prepared the second that you bring us on board to implement and get an action. So that's how we do it. And I know like 99% of people don't do it that way. They assume that, oh, I shouldn't put in effort until I actually get the deal, and then I'll start doing it. But by that time, you needed to start 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and
And
I
here's the
can
thing,
I can vouch for that.
all of this preparation never goes to waste, because even if it doesn't work out, these are resources that you have in your back pocket that just makes it that much faster for you to go on to the next client.
Yeah. And I personally, I can, for anyone listening, I can vouch for Jen there. When we were talking, I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but one of the most professional, um, you know, pitch decks, not, I won't say pitch deck, but a a service of how what she could do. And I mean, I was truly impressed. I mean, and I'll be completely blunt. The only reason I didn't do it just because we're still not at the scale point where I can afford to bring Jen on. But if I could, I definitely would. I think she provides an amazing service, and just from that, I can tell you're a high performer because your initial presentation was like, hey, boom, boom, boom. I already researched your company. I know what I can do for you, blah, blah, blah. And I can make it happen. Initially blown away, so I high praise for that. But Ganga, let me ask you, you mentioned something key in your 2-step process there that I want to dig into. And you mentioned what the second point. Can you repeat it?
So one was, you know where you're headed, you know the
Yep.
goal, right?
Yep.
And
Which
the
most
second
people.
is the commitment. Yeah.
Yeah. So the commitment piece, right?
Yeah.
So the commitment of doing the things to make it happen. So what things do people need to focus on? Because there's the people who believe that you only need to focus on the things that you love to do, right? And then there's the people that are like, I will do every single dirty work needed until I can afford to not do the things that I don't like to do. So which camp are you in?
I'm in the smart camp. I I do all the things I love to do, and the
Okay.
things I don't like to do. I I form a group of people that can support me in that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's really important to have your fun club, your fan club, your friends
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
Yeah, people that love you and love to support you. And yeah, and just going to that point, right? Many of us will say they want to work with us, and the second we suggest the one thing, they'd say, I don't know. That's an example of a coach. Like, if you were training for Olympics, they're not going to ask you to do the one thing that you're already very good at.
Yeah.
They're
They're gonna
always going
ask
to ask you to do the one thing that's your problem, one thing that's your pain point. And from that one question, you can see their level of commitment. How badly do they want it? And
Exactly.
yeah. And I think today I was reading up, there's a proverb, to paraphrase Steve Jobs. I'm not good at quoting exactly. So let me, I think it was be hungry and a little bit of foolishness, right?
Yeah.
That's what's needed to succeed. I would say hungry and be more hungry, and
Yeah.
hungry to learn. If you're hungry to succeed and hungry to learn, I think that would be an awesome combination.
So I love that because you said, you have to, you you personally are in the happy camp and you would find and build a team. But I think from the people I've talked in past and I've tried to tell them is, they think of that as well. Hey, but then they don't find the commitment to find that team or those people. So then they're lost still, right? So
It begins with me, right?
yeah,
I cannot ask people that I'm not willing to do something. So it's not
exactly.
like if I don't find the support, I don't know how to do that thing. I've studied it, I've learned it. The second
Mm-hmm.
something is missing, I can jump in and do that. That's also part of you knowing your business. Do you know your business like the back of your hand? Anything, statistics on sales, performance, how often do you measure things? Those are things, it's your business ultimately,
Yeah.
right?
No,
My
I love it.
yeah.
So let's
So
jump in a little bit real
yeah.
estate. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I was just gonna say, let's jump into how is it that you guys help investors, real estate investors in their businesses?
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
I can answer that one. So so Ganga and I, a little backstory, actually worked at the same syndicator when I, for those of you who don't know, I moved to Bulgaria when I got married because I got handed the deed to the family properties by my in-laws, and one of them included an apiary, a bee farm. So my husband and I actually full-time run a honey business. And so prior, when I was working for the syndications company, I actually brought Ganga on board as I was transitioning out. And so we did have a little bit of overlap working at the syndications company. And in addition, I today now run an investor network again. So I'm back in the game. And we understand the syndications business and its players, because one of the one of the things, I like to call myself a community builder above everything else. I run so many Facebook groups. I have the largest expats community in the city that I live in as a community as well. But we're highly flexible and resourceful. And so we know who the players are. We observe things. We have a lot of conversations with people who are investing and offering syndications. So we understand many different business models. We have a lot of contacts. So we know what it takes to make, after we get to know you, what makes you unique and what we can do to make you successful. So basically, how we help syndicators today is we have initial call to get to know you, and then we come and find out what resources do you need that would take you to the level that you want. Is your goal to raise another $100 million by the end of this year, for example? Do you need, and some of these things are not going to be visible to you because you haven't seen as many business models as intimately as we have. So do you need a more specific syndications accountant? Do you need different legal help? Do you need in-house resources like an executive assistant or an investor relations person? Or do you need help building better marketing like a drip campaign? Or do you actually want to build an entire educational platform? So these are all things that we can help you. Do you need a better underwriter? We help you come in, identify what resources that you need, and then we help you get those in place. And then we can either stay on to help, or, that's the end of our relationship. And I just also want to say that Ganga has worked with every single personality type and background in her experience being a coach for over the last 14 years. So maybe you want to talk a little about that too.
Yeah, so, but before that, I'll complete a little bit of the piece that I would love to talk about, Jen, is when we put those pieces in, and when she had put that piece in prior to when I got there, the company went 10 times X.
Nice.
Now that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm committed to doing. So when she passed the relay stick to me, or the ball, however you want to say it, and then I was able to do 100% of the race, like from day 2 of joining the company. I was able to do 100% race by myself. So that's something that it might look like, oh, we were just born with it. No, we did all the hard work and we learned everything we needed to learn to get there. And we didn't do any shortcuts. So that's something that we are committed to helping. Is there's a lot of like tiny things get overlooked and then they become a big thing. So we have the perspective, having had so much experience from people, businesses, different kinds of people. So now I'll come back to how many kinds of people I've worked with. I work with men, women, children. And if you know about the financial services industry, it's predominantly male dominated. And I don't know how this is going to sound, but I can talk like a man. And in a man's world, they're comfortable talking to me, comfortable coming to me for advice. And Jen has that quality too. Men are comfortable to talk to us about what's important to them in their businesses, in their financial world. And likewise, women are comfortable, children are comfortable. We've coached kids, veterans. I've come from a background of having helped a lot of women that have been abused or went through trauma, went through sadness, went through a lot of loss and grief. So every kind of situation, and what I've learned is that, I'll share just this one funny thing and then that'll be it for that, is there was one person, I was in the bank working, and he came in very upset that we had done something that he wasn't okay with. We sent a statement to his house, and he didn't appreciate that because his parent was not alive anymore. And I was like, okay, what can I say that's going to, it's an awkward situation and we didn't know about it. And I just was eating a cookie and I said, would you like a cookie? He said, do you know how upset I am right now and you're offering me a cookie? I said, yes, but what would you like a cookie? And then he burst out laughing. And, that was the beginning that I got present to, I can transform people. no matter what they're going through. And that's the kind of work I like to do.
Well, and let me add to this for the people that are just listening to this, and they probably don't tune in into the YouTube channel. But if you were looking at Jen right now, she and Ganga, I mean, they are two professional business women, and they have that presence. You guys have that presence, right? And Ganga, I mean, when you talk about like people trust you, you know, and people can work with you and all that stuff. I mean, you haven't stopped smiled. And I
Yeah.
can't even stop smile because I'm looking at you and I'm like, oh my God. So you reflect that happiness and like is amazing. So for the people that are not looking at it, it's like, oh my God, like no, I mean, working with you, like we talked to Jen before, and my brother said, I mean, you came in and you told us exactly what it is that we needed. We didn't spend that much time. You go in and you hit the floor running. And then Ganga, I mean, just looking at you, I mean, it's just and just by listening to all the experience that you guys combine is amazing. So who wouldn't like to work with women and people like you? I mean, it creates a great environment. So that's pretty amazing.
So I think it's awesome that you guys are, changing the face of an
Yep.
industry.
Mm.
And you brought up a key point there that it's more mainly male dominated, right? So, and you said you can talk to anyone, but what can you say to women who may be shy of going specifically into commercial, financial, right? Because those are just more male dominated. Even as a Hispanic, like sometimes I feel awkward talking to the people that aren't like me because it's just I
Yeah.
don't see them as much, right? So we don't relate, or they don't relate. I've had conversations with people. This is normal to them, right? This type of investing, syndications, and I'm like, hey man, where we come from, no, people don't even know anything outside a savings account, right? So
Yeah.
that this isn't normal for 98% of the population. So how do you guys feel about that and telling people, encouraging them?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot in common in many ways. The importance of partnership, the importance of family, and the importance of breaking these norms in our industry. So I would answer that by saying, find evidence for what you want. It's so easy to find that evidence for whatever and use that as an excuse to not get the result that you want and be right about, well, this is just how it is. And this is why I can't have what I want. Well, who consciously would want to defend, this is why I can't have what I want? No, we're about people having what they want, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
find evidence for what you want to see. So in our case, it would be find evidence, find role models for women who are killing it in the industry.
Yeah.
And if you don't
And
see it, because I didn't see any girls my age when I started Baycom doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but then I had to be my own role model. Or maybe I had to take role models who had parts of what I wanted. Oh, this is a young, successful entrepreneur. Oh, this is a woman in real estate who is a very confident public speaker, and piece it together to create the role model that I wanted to be and to emulate.
That's awesome. Going back to how you guys help real estate investors,
Yes.
one of the questions is, do you guys like what does the program look like in regards to, let's say, the timeline? How long does it take?
Mhm.
Do you guys come in and you just give advice and then step out, or do you guys hold their hands until you see the results?
So we handhold for sure. Like there's a lot of education companies out there who give you the knowledge to start your own syndications business. But what we do is we put in the sweat. So it starts with getting a really, really intimate landscape of what's going on in your business, what your existing resources are, and what results those have produced. And then from there, actually doing the work to execute whatever plan that we agree on is best for the company, whether that means hiring, recruiting, or it means actually implementing a marketing campaign or building a platform or anything like that. We actually get our hands dirty and do it, because I think that's the biggest difference between education and consulting, right?
yeah.
We actually go in and we do it. And so generally we like to be in and out as quickly as possible. so that you get we're all about getting results fast. You know, people come back to us because they want the next level of results, not because we're working on the same thing still on a repeat subscription basis. You know, we're not doing subscriptions right now.
Nice.
So we're about high impact, we're about speed. And did you want to add anything to that, Ganga?
Yeah, no, it's all about performance, right? But also just some things take 6 months, 8 months, 1 year.
Yeah,
And we'll tell you
absolutely.
ahead of time, and then there is evolving requirements after that, but they are fewer, far in between until you have your next big goal, right? So I know, Jen, you want to add something to that?
Yes. Okay. I'm like, I hope this isn't giving away one of your secrets, but I would say one of the secret ingredients to why we're effective is because of our ability to remove resistance. This is someone no one talks about.
Nice.
So I don't know if that's something you want to talk about a little bit, Ganga.
Yes, when you hire us, don't fight us. We are on your side. That's all we want to say about that. But yeah, so just work with us, and we know what we're talking about. We've gotten people there. We've gotten ourselves there. So that's the proof that we can do it. And about the shyness with women, right? Ask. I think 98% of all men, I think one or two might have said, go away. But other than that, 98% of men have said that, okay, you want to learn this? You want to talk about this? I'm happy to help you. Men are chivalrous that way. Women are also like, but then women are more structured. Okay, you want me to help you this, devote this time and I'll help you. But men are like, okay, throw me a question. When you have a question, just call me, text me. I'll be there to answer that for you. So all the shy women out there, just ask for what you want. Start asking questions. Yeah.
Nice.
Demand it.
So basically, just to recap on what you guys do, you guys come in, you guys basically come up with a plan. You build a plan and you actually make the plan work while
Yeah.
you show the business how it works. And then
Yeah.
you step out of it because the
Right.
business should be able to execute the plan
Yes.
to the T. That's awesome.
To keep the resources for themselves. So whether it be someone they brought on, whether it be a marketing agency, or whether it be us supporting certain aspects of it on an ongoing basis. Yeah.
And
Nice.
then I like to add a thing quickly is that we observe the people that are working with you, working for you, supporting you. And then we can tell the not so that we can train them in those areas. And then it's
Yes.
really fast rather than, human beings are valuable. So, and they're very moldable, changeable, dynamic. So, yeah.
And I want to
Yeah.
add to that too. Ganga also does value alignment work. So making sure that everyone in the company's values are aligned and that they emulate the leader, if that's what the leader wants, of course. And also going back to just really quickly the resistance topic, actually finding, and this is one of the takeaway advice to your audience too, but finding out what it is that you resist. What is it that stops you from being action, that has you procrastinate, that has you not perform? Removing that out of the way so that people can actually perform easily and effortlessly. So everyone out in the world, right? You should find out what that is for you, because when you find that out and you remove it, it makes everything much easier.
Nice.
Yeah, and it makes
Yeah.
companies.
So I love it. I wanted to actually hit on that too, because, it, you have I love your business model because performance coaching is business consulting with, not only the consulting piece, but you're hitting on how to take that business to the next level and actually implement its systems and process, hiring, you name it, whatever's recommended for that business. But a lot of what you're mentioning with resistance has to do with that mindset performance piece of, one, listening to your coach, right? Like you just said, don't fight it, because we're all stuck in our ways of this is how we want to do it. But then when that's why you're hiring a third person to tell you, no, actually, you might want to go like this, and then you grow quicker, right? Because we might not see it, we might not know it yet. And then the other piece too is, like you said, just on a personal level, what stops us, right? So for me, for example, one thing that always stopped me was saying I don't have enough time, and I would put it on my family, on my kids, or this and that. And then I had a really heart to heart, with my wife, and she told me, "Do you think it's us that don't give you time, or do you think it's that you procrastinate and don't find the time for it? And it was a really hard, it was a real eye opener coming from someone I love to say, hey, no, I can find the time if I really look for it, if I prioritize what I really want and I'm hungry for it, right? So that resistance is key. We might not know it's there, but it's definitely there. Everyone has it. When you break it, it's a whole different level. Yeah. So I love it. So one of the questions that we had here was, what does wealth mean to you guys? Because you've seen all kinds of wealthy people. And personally, I have a difference between rich and wealth. So if you have that difference, let me know what your thoughts on being rich versus being wealthy is.
Mhm. I can answer that question for myself. I think what true wealth is choice. Having an abundance of choice. And what choice allows for is being happy. Wealth, I mean, I think of rich, well, actually in two ways. This is going to sound really funny. I think of rich as money in the bank, but I also think of like a really rich bone broth, like
Mhm.
flavorful. And wealth is just kind of the experience of abundance, but I don't tie it to just money, as you two both relate. I know we've talked about this several times, but having a fulfilling social life, romantic life, career, family life, every aspect, creativity, being able to be just super creative. That's one of my favorite things to do in the world, which I think is why I'm drawn to consulting businesses also,
Yeah.
being an artist, but yeah, having choice.
I love it.
Mhm.
What about you, Ganga?
So I think wealth is the ability that Jen and I have seen a lot in reality. Is like we walk into a room with nothing and then we create magic. That's a kind of wealth, right? Everyone is there. Like, okay, it was no one was talking to each other. Then we bring the room together. Everyone's having fun. That's a kind of wealth. Bringing people, resources together. You I walked into a dog park once, made friends, and then lived with that friend for a year. So that's wealth, right? Like being great. That's something Jen does that I admire in her all day long, is being so great that the world opens up to you, and
Nice.
there's endless
Love it.
possibilities after that. So that's something that's wealth for us. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Got a
German, you got
question.
it.
I
Okay, go
do.
ahead.
So we said, you guys help real estate investors. There are passive real estate investors. There are more active passive real estate investors. Which type of real estate investors and at what point should a real estate investor or let's say a company of real estate investors should contact you guys, in what type of, I guess, readiness should they have, or at what stage should they be for you guys to be actually efficient to help them?
Yeah, so for passive investors, I have a real estate network called 506 Club, which you can share the information for later. It's an amazing educational resource, but the members of this club, it is a highly curated group because you should have experience. Now, so not everyone has experience with syndications, but maybe they've been investing in real estate and they're familiar with commercial real estate, or maybe they're already syndications investors. That's the Facebook group. And then also, for clients, for syndicators wanting to hire us for our services, we've worked with people at any point, even people putting together their first syndication, as long as they align with us. It's a gut feeling for me. Maybe it's something different for Ganga, but they want to work with us and they're willing to listen to us as their coaches. And this is really important. I'm just going to be flat about it. They have to be able to afford us or be willing to adjust their business models, which we can help them with, to find creative ways to generate more income to afford our services. Because at the end of the day, we are a business.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, who wouldn't like to work with you guys? I just put it out there from the beginning, Jim, when we
Yeah.
spoke, and now with Ganga. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Ganga, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, we can work at any point, just like what Jen said. And it's also like each business as it's growing requires different things. And we are consultants, so we can help you with that. And yes, and affordability, yes, you have to be able to afford us. And it's something like, do you want to spend this money now so it can expand 10 times faster? Or do you want to come to us after you do the boo-boos and then we fix things for you? So up to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys. But yeah, so what that's I think what's important is how committed you are to doing it. Goes back to Oscar's first point. You said, I don't know if you remember this, but you said, at one, like, you don't want to go into something and then figure things out, right? You were saying about at what point do you figure things out, right?
Mhm.
What if you work with someone that's figured those things out? And then
Mhm.
what kind of an experience do you have? You have a
Yeah.
richer experience of your own business, right? When you're thriving instead of trying to survive, it's a different experience than if you're worried and you come in after you make some mistakes, and then versus you could have prevented them if you had gone with an expert who guides you along the way. So that's
Yeah,
also.
and I love that. And one of the things, I'm always saying is one, you pay, you get what you pay for, right? And I think it's important that you guys as business owners as well, Jen, you just said it, you value your business, you need to get paid. Same thing with every business owner, right? So it's no shame to say I charge a fee. And it's also, if you're a business owner and you're expecting things for free, then maybe you're not a true business owner yet. I would say that flat out, because if you can't respect someone's time and be honest from the front that, hey, I'm not ready to get a consultant, or, hey, I can't afford you yet, or but instead you're asking for free things, then that means that now there are creative ways, right? Maybe you bring them in on a deal for syndication, maybe
Yeah.
you pay them in shares, maybe you pay them in some other way, right? And there's always discussion for that.
Yeah.
But when another business owner is expecting free from another business owner, that shows that you're not a true business owner, because you don't value someone else's time, right? So it's important for people to understand that out there. But other than that, tell us, German, unless you have any other questions, tell us where people can find both of you. And if you can, I know it might change depending on where people are with situation, but what are your normal services range at in terms of price? And I know if it's too broad and too wide, the differences, and I understand, but just a general idea of what people can expect and how your process of a initial consultation kind of works, right?
Mhm. Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so that's something depends on the workflow, right? Each
Mm-hmm.
client consulting is different, so that would be a more conversation for in person. And what how big do they want to grow? It also depends on that. So while I may not be able to share details right now, but they should be happy to consult with us on that. And that's the point of it too, right? Like people
Yeah.
can be very approachable and we love to talk to them and tell them more. But it mainly depends on how big are their goals? Where do they want to go? How long would that take? How long would they want to give it? And it's all a negotiation, right? It's not set in stone. But like you said, there's creative things as well as there's format.
And also, how do the resources look now? Are they a one-man show, or do they have an entire team and all they're looking for is for us to help them find better accounting services? Like what is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you guys.
Now, let
Okay.
me, since you brought that up, let's say a company, no, this is, I want people to picture it, it's like, okay, how does the process work without,
Sure.
I mean, we mentioned before, we're not going into details, but it's the fact that you guys are helping build these businesses. You come in and we said that you come in with a plan, you basically execute the plan, you guys show how it's done because you do it. Um, do you guys, for example, people need to hire people, do you find those people within your network to hire that team that aligns to the business, or do the people that hire you to consult and all that stuff, they have to go out there and find the
We
people
find the
that they need
people.
to? Okay, oh, that makes it even
Yeah,
easier.
we find the people and we do the values work ahead of time so that we this is something that I don't think most recruiters do, is really, really finding out what the values are and also heavily incorporating that in our hiring process.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you
But
go.
we
That's
actually
something
find
that,
the people.
yeah,
One-stop shop.
that's invaluable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Out
And
of
I
the
think
box
that,
syndicator company.
yeah, no, you know, and that's important because the values piece is key. Someone might have the right skills, but you know, for example, myself, I'm very keen to certain details. And if these people aren't meeting those standards, I'm not gonna lower my standards. Right. So that's
And we do
important
the
that we
work to
align
really,
efforts.
yeah, and we do the work to really find out what your standards are, what your absolute must-haves and can't-haves are. And Ganga and I have both played, as I know personally, like every role in a syndications business. I've been investor relations, I've done marketing, I've done executive assistant, I've been pretty involved with the financials of the company. And so, and I've personally invested passively in several types of syndications deals, debt, equity, different commercial real estate assets. So having been a player personally firsthand in all those positions, we also have a pretty good idea of what to look for.
Hey,
Amazing.
I've also built a bot.
That's right.
And sales and customer service bot. While the IT person was on the phone, it took 6 hours. So yeah, we've done it. Like our range of things we've done is pretty neat. Yeah.
And being on the lending side for you too. I mean,
Yeah, I've heard all the business plans. I've seen all the business plans. I've seen what works and what doesn't really work, and how to set yourself up financially, because that's an important piece of a syndication business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a business, not a one-man show. No, I love it. I love it. So, Ganga, I don't think you said it, but where can they find you?
Focuscoachingus.com. That's where they could find me.
yeah.
Okay, Jen, did you say it?
No, I didn't. You can share details for joining 506 Club. And then also you can find me I'm very active on Facebook as I run so many groups, and also LinkedIn, you can find me.
Yep. And 506 Club, that's the name of the Facebook group. So all you have to do is look it up and you'll find it. Amazing group, amazing value, a whole bunch of syndicators, passive investors, you name it. But we'll leave it at there. And, you know, thank you guys so much for coming on. And, you know, we really enjoyed this episode. We love your personalities and we want to see you guys keep crushing it, helping other investors and business owners crush it as well.
Likewise.
With that, we're out on the recording. Thank you so much.